Brad, gusto kong mag-file ng car insurance claim ko eh. Curious ako, ano ba yung mga hindi claimable kapag ka ikaw ay nagka-claim ng car insurance mo? Hoy, best friend, yan. Yan po ang ating pag-uusapan for this episode. What's not claimable? Ano ba yung mga bagay or mga instances kapag ka ikaw nagfa-file ng car insurance claim mo na hindi claimable? Uy, para at least alam nyo. Yan po sa ating CrisToSHOW-The podcast. Coming up.
You might want to listen about life, love, business, sports, and even current events. Halika na, tambay ka muna here on CrisToSHOW, the podcast with your host.
Hi there! Cristo here. Of course, another episode sa ating CrisToSHOW, the podcast here on Anchor FM and on Spotify. It is a Friday today, and of course, it is the 30th of October 2020. By the way, shoutout nga pala sa mga best friend natin, sa mga ilodi natin, sa mga taga-subaybay natin, sa mga taga-pakinig natin na nagbe-birthday today. Happy birthday po sa inyong lahat. Hope you'll enjoy your birthday amidst this, alam mo na, the threat of this pandemic. But you're still alive, kicking, and be thankful, of course, for everything that you've been through good times and bad times. Alright? So, by the way, clears throat muna tayo, okay? Para maganda lang yung pasok natin. This episode is really dedicated for ano ba yung mga bagay na hindi claimable kapag ikaw ay nagfa-file ng car insurance claim nyo. Okay, so may sasakyan ka, may insurance ka, pina-covered mo ng comprehensive, tapos may nangyaring hindi inaasahang vehicular accident or car accident, and then you decide to claim. So, ano ba yung mga bagay na hindi claimable para at least beforehand alam ninyo. Okay, shoutout din sa itong mga best friend nga naminaw karon via Spotify or Anchor or from whatever platforms you are listening. So at least doon na may kasayuran, may kaalaman kayo kung ano yung mga possible things, especially if car owner ka, no? Or if not necessarily na may own vehicle ka, at least man lang you'll have the tidbits of idea kung ano yung mga bagay na hindi dapat na, kumbaga, hindi claimable kapag ka nagfa-file. Usually, pag nagfa-file ka ng claim at deniable at hindi claimable, i-deny ng insurance yan. Kasi nga, hindi siya claimable. Mabacktrack ko lang po. Kasi po si insurance, mga brad and sis, kapag ikaw ay magfa-file ng claim, ang ginagawa lang naman po ng claims department or yung claims processor na na-assign dun sa final mong claim, they just have to do all the necessary justification if babayaran ba or hindi. Ganun lang. Kung babayaran, justify mo ano yung mga things na meet up mo yung minimum requirement sa claims, no? Minimum requirements, documents. Physical documents, of course. Wala bang technicalities, 'di ba? So yun yung mga pag-uusapan natin ngayon. Okay? So ganito lang kasi at least you'll have the idea, 'di ba? Kasi again, Juan de la Cruz, example naman natin 'yan. Kumuha na siya ng insurance, comprehensive insurance policy. Again, sa mga hindi nakasubaybay from our first episode down to this 5th episode ng ating podcast. What's not claimable? Ano ba yung mga bagay na hindi claimable kapag ikaw ay nagpa-file ng car insurance claim mo? Sa mga hindi nakasubaybay yung comprehensive insurance po, yun po yung coverage ng sasakyan ninyo. Ito po yung kumbaga comprehensive by the word itself. Comprehensive. Malawakang coverage ng insurance nyo, not just for your car, pati din sa mga properties na mabangganin nyo, pati sa passengers at driver, pati sa pedestrian na mababangganin nyo. And of course, that includes, of course, acts of God, acts of nature, kung may typhoon man or mga ganon, that's the comprehensive policy, which includes also the BI and the TPL. Alright, so let's go now to the policy alone. Ano yung policy? Of course, the literal way of understanding it is by its word, policy, polisiya. Di ba? Mga policies. Ano sabi mga polisiya ini? Policy. Pag sinabing policy, in an insurance wordings, in an insurance term, pag sinabing policy, ito po yung written, printed agreement between the insurance or insurer and the policyholder. Yung policyholder po, ikaw, yung may-ari ng sasakyan, yung may-ari ng property, ikaw po ang policyholder. That's a binding contract between the insurance and you as the policyholder, or in any other term, assured or insured. Diba? So, yun po. But in a more formal way to say that is policyholder. So yun po ang ibig sabihin ng policy. Saan yung policy ninyo? Pag sinabing, sir, may I ask your insurance policy? So ibigay nyo po yung policy. Yun po yung, doon nyo po makikita lahat ng details ng property na pina-insured ninyo. So in the case of a motor car, kung may pina-insured kang Toyota Vios, say again, for example, Toyota Vios ni Juan de la Cruz, doon mo makikita lahat ng details ng sasakyan mo, kailan effective yung insurance mo, kailan mag-i-expire, magkano at ano-ano ba ang mga coverage. Doon mo rin makikita kung naka-finance pa or naka-mortgage yung sasakyan mo, diba? Doon lahat-lahat, yung name ng policy holder, yung address ng policy holder, date kailan in-issue yung policy, premium na babayaran nyo, yung deductible, yung mga extended clauses, lahat-lahat po andun na po sa policy. Anything na hindi naka-stipulate doon sa policy ay hindi po covered. That's the most easiest and simplest way to check kung ano ba yung mga hindi covered ng isang car insurance claim. Anything na wala po doon sa policy at hindi naka-stipulate in written form, whether it has an endorsement or not, basta kapag walang nalagay doon or hindi na-include doon, hindi po covered. I'll give you a pretty basic example. Okay. So, number one, policy mo na pag-usapan natin, okay? So, if the policy is not enforced, ibig sabihin, kaya nga tayo may tinatawag na mga timely renewals, importante po yun. That is an absolute necessity po sa isang insurance policy na marirenew siya prior to its expiry. Kasi po, ang motor policy is a yearly contract and has to be renewed without a break. In case of damages na mangyari prior to post-expiry, or before the next renewal, ang loss po ay hindi covered. Example, pina-insured nyo noong August 5 yung unit. Okay? August 5, 2020, mag-i-expire yan August 5, 2021. Kasi nga 1 year yung coverage at saka yung period ng insurance policy ninyo. So kung pina-insured nyo siya ng August 5, 2020, at nag-expire siya nung this coming August 5, 2021. At hindi, say for example, 2021 na tayo ngayon. At hindi nyo na-renew agad-agad. Say for example, na-renew nyo instead of August 5 para magtuloy-tuloy lang yung coverage, na-renew nyo siya 1 week after. Na-renew nyo siya 1 week after. Okay? So, yung 7 araw na yon, yung 1 week na yon, na walang insurance coverage, na nagkaroon ng gap between the expiry and the renewal, what if doon nangyari yung aksidente between those 7 days or 1 week na walang insurance coverage? What if doon nangyari? What if nangyari doon yung aksidente, hindi po covered ang accident? Tapos sabi nyo, magfa-file ako ng claim kasi may insurance ako. Kasi na-renew ko na pero may gap na 1 week. Tapos nangyari, say for example, August 5 nga, again, August 5, 2021, at na-renew nyo ano na, August, ano ba 1 week? 5 plus 7. Ilan ba yun? August 13? Tama ba ako? 12, no? Say for example, na-renew nyo August 12 na instead of August 5, which is dapat talaga makontinue. Doon nangyari na aksidente August 7. 'Di ba? 2 days after expiry nangyari yung aksidente. Tapos nag-claim kayo not knowing na may gap pala na 7 days. Most probably, alam nyo na nagkaroon ng gap, pero most likely, again, yung mga policy holders, wala namang masyadong alam po yan. Hindi naman lahat, pero majority of it, walang masyadong alam dun sa mga insurance protocols, policies, and all that stuff. Kaya nga may insurance agent at underwriter na nag-explain prior and beforehand before i-issue yung policy. Okay? What if nangyari August 7, tapos nag-file ka ng claim? Ang pinaka madaling gawin po ng insurance niyan, i-deny po yung claim ninyo. The claim is not covered. The loss or the accident is not covered because the accident happened when your car doesn't have an insurance policy. It already expired last August 5. And then the accident happened 2 days after, August 7, and then na-renew nyo po August 12 na. 5 days after the accident, kaya tsaka nyo pa ni-renew. Diba? So, hindi po covered yun. Hindi po covered yun. Kaya po, napaka-importante ng renewal ng isang policy. Usually po, ang ginagawa po ng claims department, kapag ka ang accident ay malapit doon sa expiry, ang hinihingi po na supporting document natin is yung renewal policy. Kasi, pag yung accident nangyari near the expiry date, say for example, 3 days before expiry date ng insurance nangyari yung aksidente. Let's say for example, mag-expire again August 5. Tapos nangyari yung aksidente August 2. Okay? So usually hinihingi ng insurance yan yung renewal policy. We can ask that, of course, internally within the insurance company, or else we can ask that through the client itself to check, to verify the veracity of it or the continuity of the policy. Okay? So, yun po, hinihingi namin. Or, contrary to that, kung ang accident ay nangyari 2 days after pina-insured, yun, hinihingi namin, sample lang to hinihingi po ng insurance ang previous policy nun. Okay, sample, August 5 pina-insured, tapos nangyari ang aksidente August 7. Naku, magtaka ka na adjuster. Tingnan mo yung renewal kung may na-renew ba. Kapag ka walang renewal at hindi nagtugma at hindi dumugtong dun sa August 5, malamang nangyari yon na walang insurance coverage ang sasakyan at gustong mag-claim at makalusot ng balbahutog na claimant. Gustong makaisa sa insurance, kumbaga. Okay, but I'm not taking parts here. I'm just saying the neutral way of understanding the nature of an insurance when you file for a car accident. Okay? Para at least you'll have the tidbits of idea. Hindi para manloko ng insurance, pero at least educated ka po sa inyong property itself. Kasi binayaran mo yan eh. Binayaran mo yan. Yung insurance mo, binayaran mo yan. So dapat lang alam nyo po kung ano ang rights ninyo and obligations. And of course, I think that's pretty much basic for you to think of. Okay? So, that's number one. The policy alone, if not enforced, hindi po covered. If not enforced, yun po yung term. Kung nangyari ang aksidente before the after the expiry at walang policy, hindi covered yon. Kung nangyari ang aksidente prior to issuance of the policy, effectivity of the policy, or inception, at walang policy, walang insurance, hindi pina-covered, hindi covered yon. Okay? So dapat may covered, so dapat enforce yung policy. Active, current yung policy. Walang putol yon. Walang putol yon. Okay? Kasi may iba nagpapa-insured ng unit or vehicle nila hindi pala alam na may sira na pala. Naka-stipulate yan sa general ruling ng isang policy Any existing damages of your car hindi po covered prior to issuance. Yung iba kasi kala nila papa-insure natin ko. Kasi nabangga ako ng August 5 tapos ipapa-insure ko to ng August 7 tapos magki-claim ako. Hindi ka po makaka-claim ng insurance claim nyo. For your information, hoy, ikaw nang nakikinig. Okay? Hindi ka po makaka-claim. Kasi hindi enforce yung policy. Pina-insured nyo lang kasi may bangga at gusto nyo mag-claim. Gusto mo pang kumita, hayop ka. Sorry for the word, but that's the most appropriate things. Kasi madaming abusadong claimant totoo po yun. I'm just giving you the sort of understanding, di ba? Para let's just be fair naman, di ba? Let's just be fair. Wag po tayo maglokohan. Black and white. Just be transparent about it. Alright? So, yun po. May mga ganun kasi na instant. Kaya po, for the underwriters, it is a very must na humihingi po tayo. Huwag po kayo magtaka. Baka magtaka kayo yung mga claimant kayo, yung mga policy holders natin. It is a standard protocol or standard procedure po na kapag ikaw ay magre-renew ng isang sasakyan sa insurance mo or kapag ikaw ay magpapa-insured pa lang, first time mo pa magpa-insured, usually ini-inspect yan ng underwriter or any insurance personnel. Ini-inspection po ang unit para to check if there are existing damages. Kasi nga, again, yung iba nagpapa-insured lang kasi may damage na, existing damage na, nabangga na pala, may sira na pala, di ba? O tsaka after a couple of days or a few days magki-claim na yan. Kaya po importante po before you will renew the policy, underwriting, nakinig po kayo. Alam ko po na alam nyo to, humihingi po tayo ng picture regardless if renewal siya. You don't know what happened there before po pina-insured yan. Even if 10 years na yan pina-insured sa inyo. You should ask picture of it or better yet, inspect the unit. Yung iba kasi nagsisend na lang ng old unit Old photo of the vehicle, not the current photo of it. Just to get lusot in the insurance. I don't know. So yun po, I think that's a pretty much tough, not just tough challenge, but pretty basic na ginagawa po ng isang underwriter. Kasi again, the underwriter is one of the most important. Sila po, importante po lahat ng department ng isang insurance, but si underwriter po ang ano ba tawag nito? Risk assessment. Sila po gumagawa nun. Before they will write the policy down and all the clauses there, sila po ang tumatanggap ng risk. Kaya nga po, very crucial yung trabaho nila in the sense na kung may mangyaring kabulastugan at kalokohan dun sa claim, babalik at babalik sa kanila. Kasi nga, ba't nyo pina-insured to? May sira na pala. Ba't nyo ni-write yung policy? Sira na pala. Diba? Just, that is much pretty basic. Alright? So, we'll just have to, be subtle with it. But I think we're good to go. Alright? Second, sa policy again tayo. Kapag po kayo ay nagfa-file ng isang own damage claim, at yung cost of damage naman na fall within your policy deductible franchise, hindi po covered at hindi po claimable yun. Balik po tayo, ano ba yung deductible? Ito po yung participation at counterpart ni claimant or policy holder kapag siya ay nagfa-file ng own damage claim. Yun po yung counterpart niya. Yan po yung tinatawag na deductible. Deductible po on the part of the insurance, participation po on the part of the client. Example, mag-example ako para madali yung maintindihan so that you're gonna understand with it, alright? Okay, so, Toyota Vios, owner is Juan de la Cruz. Okay? So, nag-file si Juan de la Cruz ng claim kasi may konting gas-gas yung front bumper ng Vios niya. Nasagi niya doon sa gate nila. So, nagkaroon ng gas-gas. Pina-estimate ni Juan yung cost of damage. Yung costing nung repair shop niya, palagay na lang natin 3.5. Okay, 3.5 yung costing. Maliit lang kasi, more on hairlines lang. What I meant with that is yung gasgas is more of like a hairline, manipis, parang strand lang ng buhok. Okay? So, nag-file siya, pumunta siya sa insurance niya, dumiretso siya sa claims department. Ayun, ma'am, sir, magfa-file ako ng claim. Nung chinek, 3.5 yung cost of repair nung shop, repair shop. Pag counter-check nung insurance personnel, yung insurance deductible franchise niya is 6,000 pesos. Which means, the cost of damage is within the assured's deductible. Kasi 3.5 lang yung costing, tapos yung policy deductible ni Juan is 6,000. Within lang sa policy deductible nyo, walang claim po na mangyayari. Ano pang claim mangyayari? Ipoportion nyo yung 3.5, may 6,000 naman na. Di ba? Hanggang 6,000 po is the, kumbaga, limit, kumbaga. Below 6,000, hindi po covered. If the damage is below the policy deductible, hindi po covered. It is not compensable. Hindi po covered yon. Kapag ka lumagpas ng 6,000 or 6,000 or in any case, kapag ka lumagpas yung cost of damage dun sa policy deductible, covered yon. Pero, may pero ako. Dito nangyayari yung lokohan. Again, nagkukuntsabahan kasi yung may-ari ng sasakyan at yung repair shop. Pare, ang deductible, gusto ko sana mag-file ng insurance eh. Ano problema pare? File natin. Gusto ko nga i-file pero 3.5 lang yung, I mean 6,000 lang yung 6,000 yung deductible ko. Ang liit-liit lang ng damage. Pwede ba bang ipalabas dyan sa quotation mo, sa estimate mo na 16,000 yung damage? Ayan. Doon na nagsa-start yung lokohan eh. Para makapag-claim lang, sino ba namang bobong insurance papayag nun? Titignan yun. Ito sira sir, 16,000 halos hairline lang, 16,000. Hindi naman pwede yun. Bobo yung adjuster kapag pinayagan niya yun. Believe me. Bobo yun. That's the word of Larry Gadon. Ladies and gentlemen, yung bobo. Ang bobo po, hindi naman kasi yun. That's not a bad word, but it is a form, it is a state of mind ng tao kapag pipit bulag siya sa katotohanan. Kumbaga, nagtatanga-tangahan lang ba, kumbaga. Okay? So, yun po yung policy deductible. Dapat po below that, if the loss is within your deductible, wala pong claim na mangyayari. Hindi po alam nun, ng mga majority of it, hindi po alam ng mga policy holders yan. Okay? I'm not giving you idea na ganun, pero malalaman, kasi kung manluloko man lang kayo, malalaman ng insurance yan. Useless din eh. Kung lulusot man, iswerte, pero I don't know. Majority of it in my experience, madaling hulihin 'yan eh. Di ba? Huwag na kayo lulukuhin nyo, insurance nyo yan, insurance provider nyo, tas lulukuhin nyo. Ano ba? Huwag naman. Di ba? Bilog ang mundo, pare ko. Anyway, let's still stick with the policy alone lang. Ano ba yung mga hindi pa claimable? What's not claimable kapag ka nagpa-file ng motorcar insurance claim? Another thing is if the cost of loss or cost of damage it exceeds the coverage. Madali pong intindihin. Yung own damage nyo po, say for example, what I'm trying to say is in the case of property damage. Okay, let's put up this way na lang. Say for example, may comprehensive policy ka and then you'll have a property damage coverage, maximum coverage of 200,000. Okay? May nangyaring car accident at nakabangga ka ng tawag dito. Nakabangga ka ng sasakyan. Okay, tapos nung inestimate yung sasakyan, lumagpas ng let's say for example, 250,000 yung estimate ng sasakyan na nabangga mo, mas malaki pa yung estimate ng sasakyan versus dun sa coverage ng property damage mo. So, excess of that will not be covered by the insurance of your insurance. Hanggang maximum coverage lang tayo. Okay? Another thing, yung sinasabing sa how much, paring Coco, Cristo, yung on damage naman, pagka lumagpas, total loss na yun, total wreck. Your unit is already totaled. So, we'll have another separate episode for that because we're gonna tackle more of it and all its necessary stuffs to, pag-usapan. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for the policy alone. And of course, next is yung sinasabi nilang insurable interest. Ano ba yung insurable interest? Okay. Insurable interest. Kung si Juan ang may-ari ng sasakyan, siya yung registered owner, yung pangalan talaga yung nakalagay dun sa ORCR. Ang may karapatan lang at may insurable interest is si Juan. Hindi pwedeng mag-claim si Pedro. Understood? Okay. I'll give you an example. Si Juan, yung Vios niya, of course, naka-name pa sa kanya. Yung ORCR, naka-name pa under kay Juan de la Cruz. Ngayon, nag-decide si Juan na ibenta yung Toyota Vios niya doon kay Pedro. Okay? Ibinenta niya eh. So, ngayon si Pedro, siya na may-ari ng sasakyan via, of course, paying Juan some handful amount of cash and with the execution of deed of absolute sale of a motor vehicle. Yun. Notarize pa yan. Tsaka yung ORCR, automatic naman kasi, hindi naman kasi automatic mapapalitan yung ORCR eh. Pero, ayun, nung nabili na ni Pedro yung sasakyan ni Juan, 1 week after niya na-purchase yung Toyota Vios, na-aksidente si Pedro. Ngayon, ang nagki-claim, pumunta si Pedro kay Juan, may insurance ba itong sasakyan mo? Meron! Claim mo doon. Claim mo. Okay, sige, punta siya. So, let's say for example, very basic damage, windshield, basag yung windshield, may crack or may chip. So, nag-file si Pedro ng own damage niya. Ano mo makita eh, ganun. Ngayon, pag nakahuli ni adjuster, pag chinek niya, sir, naka-name pa to kay Juan eh. Ano po, ikaw ba po si Juan? Hindi, I'm Pedro. O, diba? Hindi ako si Juan, ako si Pedro. Okay sir. Kayo ba gumagamit ng sasakyan? Ako na nagde-drive niyan. Okay. Ako may-ari niyan sir, ako na may-ari. Okay, so kayo na may-ari. May deed of sale kayo sir? Of course, meron. Binili ko yan kay Juan eh. Pinakita ni Pedro yung deed of sale dun sa insurance. Nung pinakita ni Pedro na yung deed of sale, doon na nila na-verify ng insurance provider ni Juan, not Pedro. Kasi si Juan ang assured. Siya ang policy holder, still active policy holder. Even if the property is not with him anymore, hindi na siya may-ari ng property via execution of deed of sale and by paying Juan some handful amount of cash, hindi na po, ang may-ari pa din, ang may insurable interest pa din is si Juan. Kasi sa kanya pa naka-name yung insurance policy, again, ladies and gentlemen. Kaya nga po, napaka-importante kapag kayo po ay nagtra-transact ng mga buy and selling and all that stuff, or you're selling up your property, importante po na i-notify ninyo yung insurance para it would not be unfair doon sa makabili. Kasi mapapahiya talaga siya kung mag-file siya ng claim doon sa insurance. Tsaka pagkatapos it turn out na nalaman ni insurance na hindi na pala sila yung may-ari, i-deny yun. Ano ang grounds? Insurable interest. Again, insurable interest, kung si Juan ang may-ari, siya lang ang pwedeng mag-file ng claim. May iba kasi dito lumulusot. Palabas mo na lang na yung kasi kahit hindi na sa kanila yung unit, pinapalabas na lang nila na hindi, si Juan pa may-ari nito. Driver lang po ako niya. Yeah, para ganun. Pero please po, hindi po yung claimable. Kaya nga po, Kasi one thing na tinitingnan namin is kung sino pa yung nagbayad ng premium. Kapag ka ang unit ay nabenta na at ang nagbayad ng premium ng insurance is yung previous owner pa nung sasakyan, siya pa yung may legal obligation to file the claim per se. Pero kapag ka nabili nyo yung sasakyan at chinek nyo wala namang existing insurance coverage at pina-insured nyo na under your name, let your insurance be informed na ako na po ang may-ari nito. Although the ORCR is not named yet after my name, yung current and present owner, i-endorse yan ng insurance nyo. Yung underwriter gagawa ng sort of endorsement or i-babar or isa-slash yung name. Juan de la Cruz / Pedro Sarmiento. Okay? Okay. Para, tapos yung nagbayad ng premium is yung current owner na. Yun, pwede makaklaim yun. Kasi usually tinitingnan natin yung insurable interest. Hindi ka po pwede din mag-insured ng hindi sa'yo. Hindi pwedeng mag-insured si Pedro doon sa Toyota Vios na pagmamay-ari ni Juan. O insurance, pa-insured ko to Vios. Sino may-ari sir? Si Juan. Ay hindi po pwede yun. O yun. Si Juan lang talaga ang pwedeng mag-insured. Okay? Or si Pedro, kay Pedro. Ayun. Okay? Okay. So yun po ang insurable interest. Ayan. Madami-dami ka nang nalalaman baka manggancho ka na insurance. Loko ka. Huwag mong gawin yun. Okay? Okay. Okay, paring Coco. Cristo, ano ba? So, next is, ano ba yung mga instances, yung mga bagay-bagay na hindi claimable sa isang car insurance claim. Next thing po is, everything that is not stipulated or mentioned in the policy, hindi po covered yun. Hindi po covered yun. Anything po na hindi naka-stipulate dun sa policy, hindi covered. I'll give you a pretty basic example. May Mitsubishi Montero ka. That's a pretty good SUV. 2021 Mitsubishi Montero. Okay? Binili mo sa kasa, yung sa dealer. Okay. All stocks pa. Okay. Nag-decide ka na yung mag wheels and tires palitan. So, mula dun sa stock na mags at stock na tire, you decide to change it and upgrade it into a much more accessorized mags and much more kick-ass tires. So, ibig sabihin doon, hindi na siya stock kasi accessories na siya, di ba? Pina-upgrade mo na Obviously, normally pag accessories kasi, in most cases, mas mahal po ang presyo ng accessories compared dun sa stock parts niya. Okay? Usually, most of the time, mas mahal po ang accessories. At saka, hindi ka pa nakontento, pinalitan mo ng magandang headlights, accessories again, tinanggal mo yung stock. Tapos, pinalagyan mo pa ng magandang stereo. Hindi touchscreen yung binili mo pero pinalitan mo ng touchscreen. Okay? Na infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and Android Play. With Apple, 'di ba? Ganun yung mga techie ngayon Tapos pinalagyan mo pa ng magandang roof railing. Pero hindi kasama yun pinatanggal mo lahat ng original, pinalitan mo ng accessories. Ngayon, pina-insured mo na yung SUV mo. Maganda na. Pinicturean. Pak. Pina-insured mo. Nung pina-insured mo, nung nakita ng underwriter, sir, may mga accessories to pop. Ano ba to? Insured natin. Hindi, wag mo insured. Yung yung unit itself lang, yung value. Doon ka nag-base doon sa market value purchase value ng binili mo yung sasakyan Tapos nag-claim. Tapos after a couple of days, may aksidenteng nangyari, unfortunately, again. May nangyari, nabangga ka, tapos sira yung mag wheel, sira yung tire, sira yung headlight, sira yung roof rack. Lahat na pina-install mo, pinakabit mo na accessories doon, kapag ka ikaw ay nagfa-file, at of course, obviously, gagawan din ng quotation yon, di ba, nung kasa or whichever repair shop would you prefer, gagawa ng quotation, itong roof rack mo, mahal to, accessories to, ito yon. Etong mag wheels mo tsaka yung tires mo, mahal to. Ito yung presyo. Etong headlights mo, maganda to. Kahit daytime pa, kahit nighttime pa nga. Ito yung quotation. Obviously, mas mahal again yung accessory, yung price nila compared dun sa stock parts ng sasakyan. Okay? Tapos, nagtaka ka ba't hindi in-include ni insurance? Nung nag-claim ka na, in-exclude lahat yon. Nagtaka ka. Sir, bakit nyo ini-include yung maganda yung sasakyan ko? Ba't hindi pina-insured? Kaya ako nga pina-insured para ma-covered. Diba? Sir, tiningnan po namin insurance policy ninyo. Wala pong nakalagay dito na accessories is included. Nako, patay tayo dyan. Kaya nga nung dapat pala kasi, idol, ini-include nyo yan sa pagpapa-insured. On top of the market value ng unit ninyo itself, pipresyohan yan Dagdag, iko-costing yan. Magkano ba yung ganito? Magkano yung mag wheels pinakabit mo? Yung tires, yung headlights, yung roof rail or roof rack. I-include yon doon sa coverage nyo. May lalagay doon limit on liabilities. Ito, covered yan. Mags, roof rack, blah 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 blah. At may additional bayad po yan on top of the standard premium payment ng insurance mo. Kasi nga, that's beyond the stock parts ng sasakyan nyo. Kaya babayaran nyo yan. Kaya kung may mangyari man na accident, covered yun. Makiklaim mo yun kapag ka pina-endorse mo at pina-include mo yung insurance. Yung accessories, 'di ba? Covered na covered 'yon, best friend. Okay? So, yun po yung tinatawag nating lahat po na hindi naka-stipulate sa policy, hindi po covered. Kapag ka hindi naka-stipulate at naka-manifest at naka-print sa policy at walang endorsement na nangyari, hindi po covered 'yon. Okay. Yun po ang tinatawag na anything na hindi naka-stipulate sa policy, hindi po covered iyon. Okay? So, another thing, ano pa ba mga bagay na hindi covered? Yung tinatawag nating unauthorized repair. May nangyaring car accident. Okay? Unauthorized repair. May nangyaring accident. Tapos, pina-repair mo agad. Gusto mo ma-repair na kasi nagmamadali ka, gusto mo ma-repair agad. Maganda yung sasakyan mo Or in another case, kailangan mo talagang ma-repair kasi may hahabulin ka bang transaksyon. In the case of a trucking business, kung may fleet of trucks ka, wing van ba yan, drop side ba yan, 6-wheelers ba yan, 10-wheelers ba yan, dump trucks ba yan, or in any case, or refrigerated vans ba yan, diba? Pina-repair nyo agad. Without notifying your insurance. Without notifying your insurance. Tapos after a couple of months or weeks, pumunta kayo ng insurance nyo. Sir, magpapile ako ng claim. Ito yung cost of repair. Pag nalaman na na-repair na, boom, panes, denied po ang claim ninyo. Yun po ang tinatawag na unauthorized repair. Okay? Unauthorized repair. Wala po kayong, by the meaning itself, wala kayong authority to repair. Tapos mag-claim kayo. Although you have the right to do so, kasi in the first place, sa inyo yun Pero pagka nag-claim ka na, at gusto mong magpa-refund or magpa-reimburse dun sa nagastos mo, hindi na yun claimable. Kasi nga, hindi mo ni-notify yung insurance mo. Backtrack ko lang yung mga first couple of episodes natin, di ba nabanggit natin doon, na dapat kung may mangyaring aksidente or in any loss or accident or car accident, please notify your insurance. Bahalag to follow na po yung mga requirements ninyo, but the most important is you must notify or inform your insurance. Yan. Importante po yun na malaman nyo yung mga bagay-bagay na yan, di ba? Okay? So I think that's pretty much it with the tinatawag nating ano ba yung binanggit ko? Ano ba tayo? Unauthorized repair. Okay? Next, unauthorized driver. Nako! May mga ganun pala, paring Coco. Meron, Cris, mayroon ganun pala. Meron po. Kung may unauthorized repair, may tinatawag din tayong unauthorized driver under the insurance policy. Unauthorized driver is anyone na hindi otorisado mag-drive. Say for example, again, si insurance po nagfa-follow lang sa rules and regulations under the Land Transportation Office or LTO. Okay? Kapag ka nag-drive yung anak ni Juan, okay, at nag-aksidente, at nag-file ng claim, nag-reflect doon, nalaman ng claims insurance sir, sino po to si Michael? Anak ko yan, sir. Okay. Walang lisensya unauthorized driver yun. 'Di ba? Anything na na-violate nyo po sa LTO, violation na po sa insurance. Especially in this case. Okay? Especially in this case. Ano ba dapat? Dapat kasi, for him to be an authorized driver, dapat the driver must possess a valid driver's license. Valid meaning dapat hindi expired yung lisensya. Dapat tamang-tama lang yung restriction code. Okay? And of course, and all other restrictions with that. And by the way, we're gonna talk about more of the driver's license nyo po. Baka may mga bagay pa kayo na hindi alam. We're gonna have another separate episode for that. Alright? So, yun po. Any unauthorized driver. Example, kapag ka nagda-drive, si may-ari nga nagda-drive, pero lasing. A violation yun. Drunk driving yun. Hindi covered yun. Kaya nga sabi ko nung nauna, anything na violation sa LTO's driver's clause, hindi rin covered ng insurance. Kasi again, si insurance nagre-rely lang din whatever the mandated rules and regulations na sinet ng LTO. Okay? Okay. So, unauthorized driver, hindi covered yun. Lasing or walang lisensya or expired yung lisensya, yung restriction code hindi naman tama, 'di ba? Instead of having a 2, restriction code 2, nag-drive ng SUV, pero yung restriction code ng driver is 1, pang motor lang, hindi covered yun. Hindi siya dapat nga mag-drive dun kahit alam niya paano mag-drive. Hindi siya pwede mag-drive dun kasi 1 lang yung restriction code niya for motorcycles only. Anyway, we're gonna talk more of that for a separate episode, by the way. And next po, again, next thing is yung tinatawag nating limitations as to use. Dito din po nagkakatalo yung mga insurance policy holders at yung insurance provider. Ano ba itong mga limitations as to use? Kasi may mga different kinds po of usage ang mga sasakyan, di ba? May iba for private use, may iba for hire, di ba? May iba for business or for commercial use. Yung mga haulings and truckings, yun. Yung mga for hire, ito po yung mga taxi, or yung mga jeep, or in any cases, kahit na truck ka or van, basta you are earning out of, transporting some vehicles or for passenger use, may mga separate din po na tinatawag natin classifications of motorcar lines. I think may private use, may motorcycle use, may private use, may commercial use, may land transportation din na gamit. So, ito yung LATU or limitations as to use. Ito. In most cases, nangyayari ito sa mga vans. Let's say, for example, a Toyota Hiace or a Nissan Urban or a Photon. Ano nga ba yung ng Photon? Basta yung Photon na van. Malaki yun Thunder ata. Hindi ko, Photon Tornado or something, I don't know. Hindi ako masyadong sa Photon. But anyways, yes, eto. I'll give you a pretty basic example. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to do that. So be it. This is my show. Wala akong pakialam. Okay, so si Juan, nag-expand yung business niya. Nakabili siya ng, kumbaga sa Bisaya pa, nakapamahon-pahon na ba? So nakapalit siya og Toyota Hiace Grandia van. Yan. So yun, initially yung gusto ni Juan talaga is private, pero nag-decide si Juan na yung Toyota Hiace van niya gawing for hire. Ginawa niya parang UV Express, parang ganun. Okay. Pina-insured ni Juan. Okay. Nung pina-insured ni Juan, pina-check niya under siguro CV or PC policy. Private car. Okay, private car. Not knowing pala, itong si insurance blind na blind, yung usage pala nung van na yon ni Juan, ginagawa niya pang UV Express. May nangyaring aksidente doon sa may, say for example, somewhere in the in the province, at nag-file ng claim, at nung nalaman ni claims na madaming pasahero involved, at iba-iba yung name, at ano ba to? May nakalagay ng mga sticker na yan, at may mga keep distance ba yan? I don't think so private use to. Ginagawa tong pang for hire. Ayun. Tapos yung nature of motorcar lines lang niya is PC or private car. Tapos nag-file ng claim. Denied po ang claim ninyo. Under the grounds of limitations as to use. Kasi kung ano po yung dapat na gamit ng sasakyan, yun lang po dapat talaga ang gamit ng sasakyan. Kaya nga po, kinaklasify ng insurance niyan. If it's for private use, so be it for private use. Huwag nyo po gagamitin yung sasakyan nyo for hire. Kasi may separate policy doon under the Land Transportation Office na classification of motor vehicle. For commercial vehicle naman, ito po yung mga like mga 6-wheeler na trucks, yung mga pang delivery trucks, delivery vans, yon under po yun sa CV. Wag ninyo po gamitin sa private yon kasi under yun sa CV. Made-deny po yung claim ninyo. Dapat mo may alam kayo niyan para hindi po kayo magmukhang tanga kapag nagpa-file ng claim at magagalit lang kayo ng walang basihan doon sa insurance processor ninyo, not knowing na mali pa talaga in the first place yung ginawa ninyo. Okay, yun po tinatawag nating limitations as to use. Okay? Sige. Next po is, ano ba yung hindi pwede pang ma-deny? Ano ba yung what's not claimable? Damage to car. Okay. Kapag ka yung sasakyan nyo na aksidente tapos nakalagay doon sa yung mga policies kasi, yung mga insurance policy ng motorcar ninyo, may tinatawag din po yung mga clause. C-L-A-U-S-E, that's clause or clauses if madaming mga extensions. May tinatawag po yung extended clause. Ibig po sabihin yan, may mga tinatawag na limitations din. Kasi may ibang insurance na medyo strict sa area. Okay? Masyadong strict sa area of travel ng sasakyan. May ibang insurance kasi, pag pina-insure mo na yung sasakyan ninyo, kapag ka ikaw ay na-aksidente within these following areas, like for example, Maguindanao, Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, Lanao del Norte, Lanao del Sur, or etc. Kapag ka ang accident po ay nangyari doon, at saka mag-file kayo ng claim, hindi po covered yun. Okay? Made-deny po ang claim ninyo. I'm trying to open my car. Made-deny po yung claim ninyo. That'll happen. Kasi dapat po tinitignan niyo din yung clause. Okay? May iba dyan, terrorism clause, rebellion clause. There are different kinds of clauses, but it depends dun sa insurance provider nyo. Tanong nyo po. You have the right to ask your insurance provider with regards to that. Wow! Umabot na tayo ng 48 minutes. I was not expecting this. You think na it'll be a short topic, but I guess we're good to go up until 50th minute. Ano pa? Yung mga, I'm talking about the basic na hindi covered, yung tinatawag nating wear and tear. Ano ba yung mga example ng wear and tear? Yung gulong, yung brakes, wear and tear yun. Diba? Example, nagda-drive ka, putok yung gulong mo, nag-explode, bang! May sound effects pa, no? Putok yung gulong mo habang nagda-drive ka sa isang makinis at napakamagandang highway. Biglang pumutok at mag-explode yung gulong mo. Luckily, wala namang, hindi ka naman nabangga. Parang napa-sideways mo lang at naisantabi yung sasakyan, kumbaga. Dumiretso ka lang dun sa sideways, roadside or highway. At hindi naman nagkaroon ng impact or to any sort of that. At nagpumutok lang talaga yung gulong mo. Nag-file ka ng claim. Insurance, claim ako, putok yung gulong ko eh. Hindi po covered yun. I-deny ka po, sasampalin ka po ng denial letter kapag ipo-pursue nyo po ang pag-claim. Sorry na lang po, hindi covered po. Kasi explosion to tire is not covered. Kasi part po yun ng wear and tear. Kasi hindi mo chinek na manipis na pala yung tire tread ng tire mo. Diba? Kaya nga po importante yung blow bags eh. Diba? Yung before tayo maglo-long ride or every time po na may biyahe tayo, titignan po natin yung tinatawag na blow bag. Acronym po yan. Alam nyo po. I-search nyo lang sa Google. Oo. Okay? So, hindi po covered yon. Yung mga wear and tear na yan, hindi po covered. Tapos, itong brake, ito yung pinaka-common. Kung makakapagsalita lang talaga si brake, yung mga brakes ng sasakyan nyo, nako, baka minura na kayo niyan eh. Kasi ang dami ko pong experience, ang dami nating experience na nag-file ng claim at ginagawang reason yung brake. Malfunction of brake, cho-cho-cho, and all. Hindi po covered yon. All other damages caused by that is covered. Okay? Example, paano yun, Cris? Paano yun? Hindi kumagat ang brake. Tapos, you decided to swerve na lang your vehicle and steered right sideways at bumangga dun sa kahoy or a tree. Diba? At of course, nabangga yung mga external parts. Say for example, the bumpers, the headlights, the hoods, the fenders and all. Covered yun. Kasi sira talaga eh. Collision yun eh. Covered yun. Okay? So, but the brake, hindi covered yun. Kapag ka dun matignan ng adjuster na dun sa quotation nyo, included yung brake, i-exclude yun. Bakit ka mo? Hindi covered eh. Kasi nga, wear and tear. Normal check-up kasi yung brakes. Normal check-up yung brakes, hindi covered yun. Madami pa pong mga bagay na hindi covered. Yung binanggit ko lang po is the basic and then the policy alone na makikita nyo. When you try to look your insurance jacket or insurance policy jacket, andon po ang sangkaterbang ano ba ang claimable at hindi. Usually and most of the time, 9 times out of 10, hindi na po binabasa ng policy holder yung mga terms and conditions na nakapaloob doon, which is typically normal at acceptable na yun. Saka na lang sila magtatanong kung may mangyayaring accident. That's for the policy alone. That's for the policy alone. Okay? Now, hindi po covered kapag yung premium nyo ay hindi pa bayad. Yes, there are instances and cases like that, ladies and gentlemen. Nagpa-insured ng sasakyan to found out hindi pa pala fully settled yung premium. Hindi po i-cover ng insurance ang claim nyo. Regardless of the terms and agreement, pagka hindi po bayad ang premium, deny po yung claim. I'll give you an example, ladies and gentlemen. Granted, binigyan ka ng term ng insurance. Sir, you have a 3-month credit term with us, which means to say we will your insurance coverage of your car will take effect immediately upon issuance of this policy. Magti-take effect na on the 12 noon of October 30, 2020, magti-take effect na po yung insurance niyo. At bibigyan ka namin ng 3 months term. Meaning to say, mag-i-issue ka ng 3 months staggered payment. So, October, November, December. Ayun. Dapat with those months we aforementioned, mag-issue ka ng mga post-dated checks or in cash or whatever. Basta magbayad ka every 30th of the month. October, November, December. Okay? Obviously, that's the last quarter of the year, but Example lang yon. Kapag ka nangyari yon, kapag ka nag-file ka ng claim, and then, it turned out na hindi mo fully settled yung premium, hindi po mapaprocess ang claim. Normally, dead-deny po, or ipepending. Kasi nga po, hindi pa bayad yung premium. Parang ganito. May inaalagaan kang number, yung Lotto 6-digit number, Lotto number combination nyo. Tapos, matagal mo nang ilagaan yun. Sa'yo talagang number na yun eh. Tapos, nung pagka-umaga, lumabas yung number mo. Tapos, pumunta ka ng PCSO. Sir, ma'am, kunin ko yung panalo ko. Bakit? Lumabas yung number mo? Yes po, lumabas. Hindi ka naman tumaya. Hindi ka nag-bet eh. Kaya nga po eh. Kaya mo, ngayon lang ako nagbabayad ng taya ko yung bet ko. Baka ihampas pa yung lotto machine sa yun yan eh. Akalain mo nga, saka ka lang magbabayad ng bet mo kasi lumabas yung number. Paano kung hindi lumabas? Obviously, hindi ka babayad noon. Ganon din yon. Paano kung hindi ka na-aksidente at umikot yung bulibol ng utak mo? Paano kung hindi ka na-aksidente? I don't think so you'll pay that, your insurance, if you're that rude of a client. I'm sorry with my words, but that's one of my observations. Medyo makapal talaga mukha mo. Pag hindi na-aksidente, hindi babayaran yan eh. 'Di ba? Saka lang makaka-remember ng insurance kapag may nangyaring accident. Obviously, that's acceptable. That's pretty normal. But please, coordinate and cooperate din naman sa mga obligations niyo. Oh my God, nagpapa-insure kayo tapos wala pala kayong capacity to pay. Binigyan na nga kayo ng term para hindi mabigatan dun sa premium na pinagbabayad ninyo. Help naman, di ba? O ano yun eh, it's a two-way process. Hindi lang po si insurance na nagbibigay ng mga coverages para ma-cover yung damages sustained. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Alright! So, hanggang dito lang po tayo. Okay, so I think shoutouts na lang para dun sa mga listeners natin via Spotify and Anchor. And hope to see you on the next episode, probably our 6th, of course. This is the episode 5, CTS, the podcast, CrisToSHOW, the podcast, What's Not Claimable. Of course, again, we'll have our YouTube and Facebook soon. Please wait lang yun mo kasi I'm trying to fix all the things and gadgets and equipments that we need. Nagbibili na po ako. But I'm hoping and praying, crossing my fingers for that. But let's step up and upgrade with that soon. But for this time, it's gonna be just the audio casting lang. Alright, so this has been Cristo for your CDS show, the Cristo, the podcast here in Spotify and Anchor. See you soon and have a blessed day, everyone. Bye!